step number 5, and that's onboarding. So we found the person, we put them through the process, we have the fish, and they are joining us now and coming to the company. So how do we design our onboarding for immediate impact? We want this person to succeed. We want this person to start doing things ASAP. However, we also want them to have a really good experience joining the company and not just be bombarded with PDFs and, accesses. And it's not just about technology and reading some leaflets about our company and our achievements and our products, but it's really setting them up for success in those early stages. So a question that we have here is, how can companies know when a new hire will begin delivering meaningful results?
It's always about money. If you lose candidate because he doesn't fit during the onboarding, or it was a kind of a mismatch or something, kind of a delay in his onboarding, it's also losing of money, losing of time. And for us, it's very, very meaningful. And what we do and what I actually propose to do for the companies who are thinking about successful onboarding is to prepare everything in advance. And this is not only about the materials to understand, to read through when the deployment is done, and the employee can go through the materials to understand what the specifics of the business, what are the tasks, etc. But also prepare who will I would say, support this new employee in the way of onboarding. And actually what we do, we bring targets for both of the candidate and the leader to get this onboarding successfully done. We also have, we call these buddies in the company who are helping those people who are onboarding. And this is more in the way of friendship and more in the way of supporting them in sometimes in an informal way. And all of these things are making the onboarding process smoother. So the candidate is not alone in this field. He has all the materials, all the information. He has targets. He has someone who has also targets to get him involved. And then he has some opportunity to discuss this in an informal way if he has some doubts or any questions, etc. And of course, the HR team have to be in place, monitoring the process of that onboarding and reacting if something goes wrong. So that's, I would say, very important. So kind of a people first approach with a lot of support, but in more, how to say, smart way with the KPIs and everything around that. And of course, someone who oversees this from the HR team.
Always there to help.
I was going to, well, what could I offer here? I think understanding what immediate impact is important to understand, and that will differ across, I think, any hire an organization makes in whatever department they join. I think probably some roles arguably would be easier to see immediate impact. Without going into detail, I think that would be the case. I think understanding, what is onboarding? How do you ensure that the candidate or the new employee that's joined has got the information that they need, understands the values, understands what the impact they've been hired to make is, and how quickly they can therefore make that impact. Will come around to more of a plan around what point is impact, because you can have an impact from day one. If impact is you bring energy, right? You lift people, you bring humor, you bring whatever it might be. That can be from day one. If the impact is in a sales capacity to win your first bit of business, you'd need to know what the lead-in time is normal, what the average deal size would be, and so on. And then you can sort of work towards, well, actually, when would we expect the first impact of that to happen? So I think planning and understanding what is impact and then continuous impact is important for consideration.
True.
Agreed.
This becomes out of my points which I told before, but of course, yes, planning is about of setting of the targets for these first 90 days of work in the company. So we have to be very clear about that with the candidate, with the employee, and make them understand what exactly should they do to get this first cycle passed successfully. And of course, this is expertise that the managers should have and clearly do this for every newcomer.
Of course, but at the same time, not to overwhelm people with information, because I think that a lot of businesses have this challenge where there is a lot to learn. When you come to any company, there is a lot to learn. You need to learn the systems, you need to learn the people, the org chart, your team, your responsibilities. You should know this before you join, but the more in depth and so on. And I think the key here is that good onboarding in 2026, in my opinion, is that we should not overwhelm people with information, but in fact help accelerate their ability to bring value, to create value. So we should be there as a support system for the new joiner, like you've mentioned, the buddy and the manager around HR, to really help this person succeed, because that's the end goal, is that this person comes in, adds value, brings their expertise, and is successful. And then whatever that success is, if it's in recruitment, closing roles, closing vacancies, in sales, bringing, their first client and closing a big deal, or in technology, dealing with the business sort of infrastructure, for example, whatever the success is, however is defined by the business, we are responsible for helping the new joiners to get there. And I think that that's very important to remember.
To actually get this 90 days business plan implemented, actually,
Yes.
right?
Hopefully not AI generated, or maybe AI generated.
Doesn't matter.
I was only going to add that I think any new joiner at whatever level, entry or senior, I think they need to understand the part they play. The part they play in the bigger machine, right? Whether you be an accountant or a developer, technician, leader of teams, the part that you play and how that part is vital to the growth and the strategy and so forth of the organizational goals, I think is really important.
Yes, agreed.
So you don't feel lost.
Absolutely.
And become a number.
I will move us on to the next step to keep us on time, unless there's some...
Before that,
Yes.
before that, the one thing that came to my mind is that it's rather more than comparison with the jazz music, right? So you not just know the part of your play, right? But you know,
the whole...
and you try to improvise, and then do not, interrupt with the other players, but understand and feel when better for you to start and to join, right? So, and to flexibly, join yourself and your expertise in the flow of the business. I would rather compare with that,
nice
not
analogy,
just
I like
blindly
that.
do the things which are written on the
piece
paper,
of
right?
paper, for sure.
No, it's a good analogy.
Good. Okay, next step is, so this person is onboarded, we have them in our business, they are happy, they are working. How do we keep them happy and working?